Bangkok, Myanmar's Catholic Church fears Pope Francis' imminent visit to the Buddhist-majority country, where religious tensions are near boiling point, could ignite attacks on Muslims. Francis has been warned against even using the term Rohingya to describe 1.1 million Muslims who have been targeted by Myanmar security forces in the brutal offensive the United Nations has called ethnic cleansing, and human rights groups described as crimes against humanity. Mass killings, rapes and burnings, including against scores of children, have forced more than 620,000 Rohingya to flee Myanmar's Rakhine state in the past 3 months, the largest movement of a distressed civilian population in Asia in decades. However, Myanmar's Catholic Cardinal Charles Bo said ahead of one of France's most overtly political trips of his papacy that use of the term Rohingya could prompt demonstrations at once, going after the Muslims. The Pope will have to be very cautious in using the term Rohingya because that is very political and very much contested, the Cardinal said. Myanmar's first Cardinal, he was appointed by Francis, warned the use of the term could leave a bad taste for the whole country and added the Pope was walking a very tightrope. Myanmar rejects the term Rohingya, does not recognize the ethnic minority as citizens and denies them basic rights even though they have lived in Myanmar for centuries. Get the latest news and updates emailed straight to your inbox. By submitting your email you are agreeing to Fairfax Media's terms and conditions and privacy policy. Radical Buddhist leaders have expressed hatred for the Muslim minority and railed against global support for the Rohingya, as attacks on them escalated across the country this year. Former UN Secretary-General Kofi Annan, who headed a commission of inquiry into the Rakhine persecutions, has also suggested Francis not use the term, saying it could be incendiary. The word is so emotional, he said. But human rights groups want the Pope, who is seen as a vocal defender of the downtrodden, to again speak up for the Rohingya, who he said earlier this year have been suffering. They are being tortured and killed, simply because they uphold their Muslim faith. Using the term Rohingya, he said they have been thrown out of Myanmar, moved from one place to another, because no one wants them. The Vatican says the motto of Francis' visit to Myanmar and neighboring Bangladesh, from November the 27th to December the 2nd, will be peace, harmony and love of people among different faiths. He is scheduled to say 2 masses in Myanmar and 1 in Bangladesh. Almost 900,000 Rohingya are now facing what international aid agencies describe as a humanitarian emergency in squalid refugee camps in Bangladesh. Francis is expected to raise the Rohingya crisis in his first speech in the capital Abiyatab on November the 28th in front of Myanmar's de facto leader Aung San Suu Kyi, government officials and military chiefs. Ms. Suu Kyi, a Nobel laureate, has been condemned across the world for defending the military's actions in Rakhine and accusing Muslim insurgents there of being terrorists. But Cardinal Bo defended Ms. Suu Kyi in an interview with Associated Press last week, saying while she should have spoken out against the Rakhine violence, she has constitutionally no voice to say anything to the military.